Hey guys, this is What If Deku Had Magic Part 3! So we start our story off with, Azuku and Toria. Last time we left off when Deku was fighting a monster, a part of the whole supernatural world. I'm not going to go too deep about what happened in Part 2. Go watch Part 2. It's going to be at the end of this video. Or it's gonna be down in the comments. Down in the description below, maybe. But yeah, just look that up and you'll find it. But yeah, this is What If Deku Had Magic. Let's dive into it. So last time I left off, we see that Izuku would have been crying to himself at night. Now we switch to the next day as Izuku makes his way to school, being a little bit defeated from what happened yesterday. As we would see Deku walk into class, being kind of confused since Aizawa wouldn't really, not All Might wouldn't be there, because he thought All Might would be the teacher for today's class since he was yesterday. Pretty much Aizawa would have told everybody that they're going out for a little bit of a field trip to the USJ. Basically, a training facility for heroes to figure out their quirks in real-life situations like landslides, tsunamis, and other natural disasters. What would happen is they would get ready and suited up into their hero costumes, Deku painting on his hero costume, being a picture up for you guys to really, visualize what Deku's going to be doing and visualize what he's going to be wearing for the people that, imagine all the movements in my what-ifs in their head as I do when I watch what-ifs. So let's dive into it. So what would happen is everybody would be on the bus, pretty much talking, yapping, doing the whole thing, just basically meat riding each other, no diddy. As what would happen is you see that Izuku would have been talking to Kirishima, as Kirishima and Deku would have actually had a little bit of a bonding a lot earlier on in the series, actually ever in the series, having a little bit more of a bonding and connection to each other. As they would have been talking to each other, and their talking, their alignment, their pretty much thing between them would basically thrive into something that would entangle with Deku's secret life of keeping this natural order and keeping the supernatural and natural world apart. And I'm not going to get in too deep about Kirishima's family and how Kirishima's story will be changed a little bit, but that's a story for enough time. That's a story for another time until maybe the Forest Training arc or the All for One arc. But let's dive into it. Let's dive right back into it. I'm sorry. So what happened is Izuku and Kirishima would have been talking, yapping, pretty much just doing a yap fest, talking about how they could help each other with their quirks and blah, blah, blah. And also Kirishima also pretty much praising him on his quirk and how his quirk is so versatile and how he has so many different abilities and powers going up against Bakugo. As Bakugo would have just scoffed, saying he was lucky he even won against me. As Bakugo would have been yelled at by, Ochaku saying that she almost killed him with all those explosions. As everybody would actually have a little bit of a memory or like a little bit of a thinking process about Bakugo, saying that Bakugo was a little bit more of a trigger-happy type dude because he almost killed a student on the second day of school. I mean, come on now, Bakugo. Come on now, man. But what happened is Izuku would have just been keeping to himself, not trying to get into the whole yelling match between each other. But they would have been interrupted by Aizawa telling them to shut up and that they're here. As everybody would be escorted off the bus as they would have gone into the USJ. Them getting introduced to the 13th hero, or not the 13th hero, I don't remember her name, but Mr. 13. 13, as she would have been basically the space hero. She would have been talking to everybody, basically saying that the day they're going to be learning about natural disasters and how quirks can lead to multiple natural disasters, chaos, and all sorts of other things. And quirks can be powerful or very dangerous in the wrong hands or in the right hands. And so what would happen is they would be told they're going to be learning about how they can help people in situations like this. As Izuku would have been hearing this, blah, 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 but he would have zoned out a little bit. As a spell he casted about last night after he was kind of scared of what happened, he would have casted a spell on him that would be active all the time unless someone hit him with a dispelling pretty much spell, or at least Deku was knocked unconscious, the spell would constantly be on him. It was a danger sense spell. Basically, it worked just like Izuku's quirk from later on in the series where he got from one of the users of All for One, or One for All. So basically, it's simple. Deku would have danger sense in magic form, as he would be able to sense danger if it was direct danger, like danger that could genuinely kill him. Not something stupid like someone punching him or kicking him or anything like that. If it was a final killing blow, the quirk would activate, or the power or the spell would activate. So in a fight, like if someone was trying to just knock Izuku out, it wouldn't go off unless someone was having the intent to actually straight up kill him, or the attack would be pretty much equivalent to killing him or pinning Izuku in critical condition. Then it would activate. But if it was nowhere near like killing him or pinning him in a freaking wheelchair, it wouldn't go off. So it was a certain level of danger the incoming danger had to be for the spell to actually work. So it was a very uncommon spell that was in the spell book at the very last pages of it. So what happened is Izuku would have looked over, as he would have heard a little bit of a wisp in the air, as his power or his spell would have gone off. Izuku would have looked around, being kind of on edge, as what would happen is a small little black dot would have appeared and opening up in a matter of seconds, pretty much releasing a bunch of villains alongside alongside Shigaraki and a couple other villains as well. And also releasing a freaking Nomu. What happened is the students would have been told to rush off and get out of here. 13 being told by Aizawa to get the students out of here as fast as possible, as Aizawa would have started to cook it up. I mean, bro would have started to throw hands back to back to back. Bro was throwing hands left, right, uppercut, knock right. Like, bro was cooking. Bro was doing better. Bro was pitting up, I mean, Laker type moves, bro. Bro was being like prime LeBron James. Nah, bro was being boxed up. Bro was boxing people up. That's what I'm trying to say. What happened is Aizawa would have been trying to box everybody up, but let's just say, them strikes, them LeBron James level moves and stats were going down. You know, getting near, Shaq way after his prime time level moves. Like, bro was having less turns than anybody in the world. Bro was having less playtime than the bench warmers. Bro was getting boxed. What happened is after that, eventually what would happen is, Aizawa would have looked back and he would have seen 13 getting dropped like an omelet. And I mean getting packed up like a Lunchable. As Kirigiri would have boxed her up and would have basically spread out all the kids alongside everybody going everywhere all around the place, because what would happen is, Bakugo and Kirishima would have tried to fight, throw hands alongside Izuku as well, but they would have all been separated. Deku would have opened his eyes as he would have been falling down to the water area, as he would have been saved last minute by Froppy. Froppy would have thrown him onto the pretty much boat, as he would have been told, or Froppy would have relayed him that they were surrounded by villains back to back to back, a bunch of water quirk heroes, or villains actually, as Deku would have looked around and him basically being shocked, saying, what in the heck, as Izuku would have just popped his head open, but some sort of person or villain with a water hydration quirk, or a quirk that would allow him to shoot water bullets, as Deku would almost get his whole head chopped off clean, as Deku would have dodged out the way narrowly, using his dangerous sense spell to save him last minute. What would happen is Izuku would have told everybody that they needed to stay calm and that to close their eyes and shut their ears. As everybody would be kind of confused, Froppy saying, what do you mean? As Izuku says, I'm going to do something, but I don't want to hurt you guys in the process. As they would close their eyes and cover their ears, as basically Izuku would have looked over to Mineta, telling him that to actually close your eyes and ears, as he doesn't want to blind you guys. As basically they both actually lock in, especially Mineta, because he doesn't want to get blind or go deaf, as Izuku grabs a spell book from the back of his pocket of his trench coat and opens it up, as it's one of the spell books he grabbed from the pocket I mentioned before he came to school. It being a new spell book, it being about more or less more natural disaster type spells. Basically spells that are like Omega level type spells. It's like emitter spells, Omega spells, and like top tier spells. I mean world destroying, world shattering spells, like spells that can create freaking mass havoc, like freaking bad signs of juju, like, making a swarm of insects poison a whole entire city or country, something like that. So what happened is Izuku would have grabbed the spell book, looking up a light spell, as it's basically a sound light spell. It would be able to wipe a battlefield clean, but it would take a lot of Deku's power. Deku would have chanted his hands, standing up right before the spell went off, and pinning his hands outside the boat, clenching his buttocks, him basically locking it in. I mean, locking in, like halftime And LeBron wasn't shooting no shots. He had to lock in, as he would have opened his hands out, as a huge blast of light, sound, and wave energy would have pretty much boiled the water. It would have shined bright as almighty hell. Shine brighter than the sun. I mean, Sun Eater wouldn't be able to stand a chance. As the whole entire water, everything around would be boiling and shine with light. And on top of that, a siren-like water-type noise that would be able to be transcending underneath the boat into the water would have basically blow the eardrums off of every other villain in the water, blowing the eardrums, like literally blood literally flowing out of their ears, as their eyes would have been burnt to a crisp. Basically, Deku effectively blinding them and making them deaf. As Izuku would have after that, him releasing a healing spell that would only activate after about 12 hours on top of the water. So basically, after 12 hours of the villains being blind and deaf, eventually they would have been healed up so they would be able to see and hear again. But that would be like 12 hours from now. So Izuku wasn't like heartless. So Izuku would have told everybody to get into the water as they would have swam off. All the villains just being in pure shock and disarray of them being knocked out, but also on top of that, them being blind and deaf. And after that, Izuku and Froppy and Mineta would have made their way to the dock area or the beach side of the pool area as they would have ran up the stairs, then finding themselves seeing Kirishima and Bakugo try to do a 1-2 jump. Basically jump, man. I mean trying to do a Shaq and LeBron primetime team up against the, well, Nomu. As Nomu would have started to box up everybody left and right, as he would have started to throw Bakugo around like a ragdoll and would have threw a nasty right hook at Kirishima. Kirishima hardening up last second, but something changing. As Izuku would have looked closely, as it would be some sort of fur that would have activated underneath the hardening's quirk. As Izuku would have noticed, Kirishima's eyes would have turned yellow, as Kirishima would have sent flying into the water. Kirishima getting up and swimming to the shore, being kind of knocked out of the wind, out of his lungs. Izuku would have just threw that idea of his head, him thinking about something about Kirishima, but him just came to himself, saying that it's probably just his quirk. And Izuku would have basically lunged straight towards the Nomu as he would have released a huge amount of fire towards the Nomu. And the Nomu eating that up like breakfast, it was nothing to him, as he would have grabbed Deku by the head, and Deku's danger sense going off the charts. Deku's danger sense knew he was cooked. He was about to get watermelon, I don't know, fruit ninja. Like, bro was finna get boxed up. His head was about to get squished like a stress ball. And it would not go back together. That shit was smushed. As Deku would about to get, I mean, like, absolutely denied invitation to the real world. Bro was about to get baxed up, no reboot card. As what happened is All Might would have stepped in last minute, throwing a nasty left hook at the Nomu. Nomu getting sent flying into the water, as Nomu would have jumped out of the water, throwing another left hook at All Might dodging it narrowly, throwing a nasty left hook right towards the Nomu. As it would have started to go left, right, up, down, haymaker. I mean, him going back, and forth. I mean, god damn. Let him breathe, bro. Let him breathe. As they would have started to get boxed up. Them going full on Shaq, LeBron, Kobe, prime time stats. As they were going Krispy Kreme up in that bitch. What would happen is Izuku would have looked closely as he would have started to tell everybody to get going as they were making shockwaves, basically making people fall off their, well, let's just say rocker. Aizawa would have been boxed up, as I said earlier, as Deku would have looked for Aizawa, and him looking over Shigaraki. Shigaraki was about to touch Froppy, pause, no diddy, as he was about to get, pretty much diddler, no diddy. Well, actually, he was about to do Froppy like Diddy. I mean, he was about to diddler him. Diddler her, no balls. As what would happen is Deku would have stepped in the last second, using a wind pressure spell to repel himself forward, using a shield spell to stop Shigaraki's decay. As this would be the first time, and a little bit of a foreshadowing what Izuku could use against Shigaraki in the future. Shigaraki would have touched the spell, as it would have, well, held up, as the quirk would have been basically not really changing or affecting the power. as Izuku would be smirking, but Shigaraki trying to put all of his all into it, as Shigaraki would have started to decay through the magic, but very slowly. Actually, a minute would have gone by, Shigaraki probably barely could have been able to get through the magic. Izuku would have enforced the magic wall or whatever shield spell he was picking up, as he would have pushed Shigaraki down to the ground. Him using his magic bullet spell, or like kind of like a spirit gun, as he would have made a gun type of gesture with his hands, shooting a spirit gun through, well, Shigaraki's leg, basically doing him dirty. As Shigaraki would have yelled in pain, as Kirigiri stepped in, grabbing Deku, teleporting him up into the roof of the building as Izuku was about to fall down to his death. Out of nowhere, Duplo Arms would have jumped in, using his body to glide up, grabbing Izuku and being saved last minute by Ochaku, as they would have floated over to another nearby window, as Izuku would have looked up, and him seeing the Nomu start to pit up. I mean, he was cooking. He was cooking All Might up. All Might was trying to fight back, and he eventually was kind of getting overpowered, because Kirigi would have actually jumped in and tried to jump this dude. As, just for plot reasons, let's just say 40 more villains would have jumped in, them being more of like pretty much tanks, as they would have started to try to jump All Might. What would happen is Izuku would have used a spell that is actually pretty much a forbidden spell, as Izuku would have known that if All Might went down now, if All Might got boxed up, here and now, the Hero Society would have gotten, let's just say cooked. As Izuku would have chanted these words, everybody would be getting confused on what exactly Izuku was doing, as basically for forbidden spells, you have to chant. Deku doesn't have to chant to use spells unless they are super powerful ones, or unless they're incredibly dangerous. As Izuku would have started to chant a dark spell, as it was the only dark spell he's learned in the last couple months. As Izuku would have started to chant the spell over and over, as eventually Izuku's eyes would have turned bright red, and everything around them would have started to become dark, and the sky would have become bright red, as everybody could be confused on what the hell is going on. Izuku would have reached out his hand and would have looked directly towards the Nomu, as he would have released a huge black lightning out of his hands, instantly killing the Nomu. So basically, it's simple. Deku has a instant kill spell. It's like a Vada Kedavra, but literally instant kill. Like, it will kill anything and everything. And literally, when he got hit with this bolt of lightning, anything that was in, like, basically touching the object he got hit, or that got hit by the instant kill spell, would also die as well. So let's just say if Deku hit somebody that was on grass, all that grassland for like 16 to 17 feet would be completely dead, unsalvageable, and like literally, if he hit a 1,000-year-old tree, that tree would instantly die and wither away. But anything that was classified as living would die instantly by just being in contact with the main target Izuku had intended. So it's a very devastating and very sporadic power. And plus, the lightning is very guided, as Izuku has to put a lot of pressure, a lot of let's just say training into the spell. So basically what happened is the Nomu would have got boxed up, instantly killed, alongside the villains that were next to Nomu. As Izuku would be kind of shocked by this, as his eyes would have gone back to normal and Deku passing out, as Ochaku and everybody would be confused and also kind of utterly scared. As what would happen is All Might would have looked up, seeing Deku fall off the bridge, or not the bridge, but the building they were on, because Deku was on the edge of the building making the spell. As Kirishima would saw this, he would have tried to run there as fast as possible, as Kirishima for some reason would have been a lot more faster than Ken and Kirishima, being able to catch up there as fast as possible, jumping on the side of the roof, grabbing Deku and landing into the water, and basically saving him last minute. Kirishima coming out of the water and landing him on the beach area, keeping him from dying, giving him mouth to mouth. After that, we can switch to the villains, not villains, but eventually the heroes would have shown up, the heroes boxing up all the villains and pretty much ragtagging them up. As what would happen is Izuku, for this last couple minutes, with that hard hit on his head, he wouldn't really remember what happened after he killed the Nomu. So what would happen, it would be about let's just say 10 fatalities on the villain side, as Nomu will be instantly killed, and not like complete disintegrated, as it would still be in like one complete like shape. It would be still a whole body. It's just the brain functions, the body, the heart, everything about it, the soul of the Nomu would be erased. That's what the spell does. But it's simple. Let's get deep into it. The spell literally just erases your soul. So to put it simple, if Deku killed like somebody that had All For One in their body, All For One, because it has remnants of the quirk plus I guess some sort of soul type thing that's going on. But it's simple. He would literally kill the souls that were in All For One, or all One For All. One For All. If you kill somebody with One For all those souls, all those power within every quirk, because quirk, I guess quirks have remnants of people's souls in them. The Pitted Frank, Izuku literally burnt that Nomu's soul away. So if Deku killed somebody that had One For All, he would literally just kill the whole quirk in general. But that's a story for another time. Now, basically, we get switched to the end of that, and everybody's given a couple days off after the whole incident, as Deku's visited by All Might. As All Might looks at him and says that it was very brave for what you did, and him also asking him, how did he do what he did? Izuku would just say, I don't remember, and it was just in the moment. As Izuku is given a little bit of a cheering up by All Might giving him a poster and telling him to get better, as he would have walked away. As Deku would have been very much confused on what's going on, as he would have woken up from his little bit of a nap in the hospital, as he would have been pretty much cheered up by his mom after All Might would have left the room, as his mom would have given him a few All Might trinkets, and also a couple of action figure type stuff, and also a couple of his favorite snacks. Izuku would have had a fun little time with his mom, and them just just messing around and having fun together. So after that, Izuku would have gone back home in some crutches, as after he fell into the water, Deku was like pretty badly injured because he fell very hard. Like Kirishima was good because he's just hardening quirk, but like Deku wasn't like teed up. Like he only had like a fractured foot because of his suit helped him a little bit. So the suit was a little bit more resistant to fall damage and bullet shots and stuff like that. So what happened is Izuku, when he got home, he used his healing spell to face up his leg pretty quickly. And what happened is Izuku would have walked to the gas station later that day, and him just pretty much tapping in, basically talking to the cashier a little bit, as he would have walked out of the pretty much gas station, as we would get switched to Izuku pretty much just walking down the street, as he would have gotten a distress call, as the spirit would have talked to him, telling him that something's going on in, Japan, actually. And Zuko's confused, as we get switched off to the end of this. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.